Hello, hello, hello. This is Quay Renee, and I'm coming to you in video with this podcasting. I wanted to try this out to see how everything goes, you know, in living color. So today's um, topic is going to be I'm going to go back to an old blog post and I'm going to post my blog link into the bottom here of the video, into the info. So you can see it's a Seequay, SEEQUAY, run at blogspot.com. And again, it's Seequay run at no, just sequayrun.blogspot.com. And it's SEEQUAYRUN. And I chose Sequay Run because of the way like our mind runs, like our thoughts is um, autonomous beings, like the way they run. So this was a place where I could put those running thoughts, basically. So that's where the name comes from. And I chose blogspot.com because it was the first one I used. They have awesome backgrounds, and that's the one I wanted to start with. So um, I will go with the post that I want to start with is was written March 4th of 2013, which is almost 5 years ago now. But believe me, all the information that I'll be sharing is very necessary for the woman today because, for 5 years ago, I think things change like more so every 10 years than 5 years. So I'm going to read the first paragraph and then we're going to start from there. So it was entitled Woman to Woman. So I was going to do a post on Plato's allegory of the cave, but I may have to save that rhetoric for another day. There is a more interesting topic that has been swimming around in my mind for quite some time. I am a fairly young and attractive woman, but I'm single. I know, you think this is going to be another man bashing rant from Cynical Cindy, but that's not the case. I am one of thousands of women in this country who remains in a constant state of questioning. Who am I? Am I going to be a mother? Am I a good employee or worker? Is my life going in the right direction? Is this my life? Now I understand that young males may be going through similar difficulties, but there is something about the female role in society that forces us to appear as if we have all our life goals in order. And is that okay? Is it okay to place that amount of pressure on ourselves just to do and do until we're so tied up in what we do that we forget who we are? So that is the first paragraph. And this, from what I can remember, this had to come from, um, I believe I was watching Chelsea Handler like one night, and she had one of her friend comedians on, and she was talking about how she had just written a book, and she was just thought how kids was gross and like it wasn't for her. And then basically they were discussing like how in society like people look at them weird, like you're a woman, but like what do you mean you don't want to have children? And whereas like I don't think that's not the case for every woman. I think it's a very insensitive question to ask women to begin with because there may also be um, reproductive difficulties. I myself um, suffer from such, but that will be a whole nother conversation later. So it's just all these things that is expected, it seems like, of a woman that is not necessarily the case. So, but this came to me after a conversation I could remember with a woman. I refer to them as the moms. When I was in college, there were certain women, working women, housewives who came to classes like like late in the afternoon, evening from 3 to later. And she wanted to be a nurse. She was finishing up her nursing classes. And I remember sitting down one day in the cafeteria and having a conversation with her about basically what her life was now. She had raised her children, and now she had the time, she said, to be basically who it is that she wanted to be. And she wanted to be a nurse. So, but in that brief lunch that we did have, she was talking about um, like she got married young. She had her children, I guess, kind of young, like in her 20s. And she was saying to me, I was 19, 20 at the time. She was saying that as a woman, you need to take the time to become who you are before you put yourself in these self-defining roles or these time-consuming roles as a wife and or mother. So she was basically saying, because sometimes you get lost in those roles, like taking care of everyone else, and yourself, you're always put on the back burner, or you just always put yourself last, when that shouldn't be the case. And I can remember how the look in her eye and how serious she was, and how it really resonated me. I mean, that conversation probably happened, what, 6 or 7 years before the post even came about. So I thought that was important to talk about that conversation um, with that woman. So now I wanted to take the time to shout out Crystal's Comfort Food. Her tagline is that it's so good, and it really is. Like, this is, if you don't want to cook Sunday dinner, or you don't feel like it, or you just want something to soothe your soul in late during the week, this is the place to go. Crystal's Comfort Food, and it's Crystal with a C, CrystalS, and you can find all this information at crystalscomfortfood.com. She's located at 7 South Lansdowne Avenue in Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, 19050. And I can't remember the phone number, but that's for sure. You can find it on her website. And I know she's open from Thursday to Sunday, and all the time and availability, and the numbers on there. And it's Crystal's Comfort Food. And I will always go back for those sweet and spicy wings because they're great, and it's my favorite. So I just wanted to shout her out on here real quick because she's a young woman doing it. She's a wife and a mother and a business entrepreneur, business starter, and she's awesome. CrystalsComfortFood.com, CrystalS.com. So back to woman. So that's probably also where the title came from, because it's like an older woman who's been through some things, who's experienced life in a way, having a conversation with a younger woman who is basically like just starting out, like I was in school figuring out things, and she's telling me to directly to like keep doing it, pursue, do what you want to do. If you meet a guy, great. If you don't, it's okay, because you should still do whatever it is that you want to do, like whatever lasting impression you want to leave. Like, you should just do it in your career, in anything. You should just do it. In the second paragraph, starts with the main idea that I want to start with is that every woman is perceived to want, and that is being a mother. A mother is loving and caring and seen as the most important figure in a child's life. Being young and single already forces you to question your wrongs as to why you haven't found a mate yet. when the truth is there, isn't when the truth is there, there isn't a thing wrong with you. When the truth is that there isn't a thing wrong with you, as soon as you realize that, the better you're off you'll be. And even for ladies out there who are in committed relationships and unsure about marriage, that's okay too, because the key to life is not to model yourself after someone else's, but to be you and to be brave enough in the new ideas about family and life and not have to apologize for them. I mean, some of us aren't going to fit into the mold of first come love, then come marriage, then comes, baby in the baby carriage. Like that's not everybody's ideal. That's not where everybody wants to get to. I mean, if you're with someone for long enough, they used to have what, 7 years, and it was common law marriage, but then they took that out. I don't know why. They just didn't want the person, they didn't want to give the proper benefits, probably. I'm sure it had to do with some type of money for the state government or the federal. And um, I just thought that just has to be interesting. And now I'm not against any of society staples, and I find that in the foundation that they are for our well-being, and it doesn't mean that you have the same ideas have to be pushed and pushed to the oncoming generations when even those who have chosen to stray have lived fulfilling lives outside of the standards of others. I'm saying this because I may not become a mother, and I was previously asked if I would be okay with that. And though it is a difficult question to answer, my reply remains the same, that I would be okay, but um, my mother actually may not. And with that response elicits another notion of whether we as women do whatever it is our mother desires us to do. Because when you are growing up as a young woman, you look up to your mother for everything woman that you aspire to be, basically. So, and sometimes women will follow exactly in their mother's footsteps when that might not be the case for them. That may not be the life that they want for themselves. And it's just as simple as that. Maybe I was not made to be a mother, to one, because I'm a caretaker of many, including myself. And I think that's important too. And maybe whatever career path I choose may provide a sense of satisfaction for the woman I wish to be. And as far as love, love is given every day in every way, as long as you're open to accept it. So I leave you with this. What kind of woman are you? And I like to end in a question because it forces the reader to think about actually like what type of woman you want to be, not who your mother wants you to be, not who society wants to form you to be. Like, who do you want to be as yourself, as a woman? Because I find it most interesting that for Tracy Ellis Ross on her TED Talk, for her to have to mention that she still gets questioned whether she is satisfied, in her life because she doesn't have like a husband and children, like what traditionally is seen as a successful woman. And I was taken back by that because we see Tracy Ellis Ross. She's awesome on social media. She's awesome on women's rights and standing up for her politics and voicing her opinions. So I find it very interesting that a woman of that stature, of that level of success, that she would even be asked those questions. So be, that's why I think like doing what you want to do and not following in necessarily anyone's footsteps. Not saying that you shouldn't listen to your mother, because there is a lot to learn in this life, and a mother is there with a young girl like through it all for the most part. I mean, my mother is an awesome woman, so she is there to help and guide and to do anything that in her power possible for her to do. So it's just like when you have that, you tend to understand that like some people may not. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about being a mother to others, because I believe, um, to get into it, like I believe that like I was placed here to care about and to listen to other women and to see how their lives are going and to see who it is that they could possibly become, because it's hard out here enough being a woman, as you can see. Like in the time we're in, women are coming together fighting against sexual crimes and equal pay and stuff of that nature. And what I think a lot of people get mixed up is the idea of womanhood versus femininity. Femininity is a necessary part of being a woman, but it also cannot be seen or as defined in one way. And I think that's also important. Being a feminine woman should be just what it is, like the fact that you're a woman. Now, touching into it and using your feminine, what do they like to call it? Like your feminine wiles, that's like a whole another situation, because you can use them to your advantage. But some women choose not to do that. So I think what happens in society is that woman and female gets tied in with femininity. And femininity is a softer versus masculinity, which is seen as harder. But what shouldn't happen is feminine does not mean weak. It does not mean what's the word I'm for? Like submissive all the time. It does not mean subservient. A woman is strong in her own right, and she goes through this life knowing, she should go through this life knowing and understanding that whoever it is you choose to be, as long as you choose it and you accept yourself firmly for who you are, it shouldn't really matter what anybody else thinks. And that's where a lot of times I think we get it messed up too, is that everyone is so focused on what somebody else thinks, that they lose themselves sometimes. So, with that, I am now, if you see looking at my shirt and you're like, what does it say? So, it says, talk black to me. And obviously, I'm a black woman in today's society, and I think it's very important for women of color to be out here supporting other women of color and other women, but specifically other women of color who may not always have the support from the home front that they need. So that's what I mean when I say, like, I feel like I'm here to care for other women who may not necessarily have gotten care um, growing up, basically, and may be fumbling or not knowing, like, is it okay? Like, I'm not sure. Oh, I keep saying like too, but I'm not sure, like, as a woman, if people understand like the constant questions that go on in your head and what's important. But I thought my shirt was important. I'm sorry. Also, because I got it from a friend's brother, and he's also a friend, but Ron Green at What's Up African Clothing. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram under that name, What's Up African Clothing. I got this one, Talk Black to Me. I also wore it to see Black Panther, because that is definitely a movement going on. And the other t-shirt that I got says Young, Black, and Lit, and it'll probably be in my next video here. So I'll shout it out again at What's Up African Clothing on Facebook and Instagram. And in closing, I just want you to get from this video that whomever you have chosen to be and whomever it is you choose to be is okay. Because in this life, you only get one. And what you choose is what you choose to deal with and what you choose to accept. And only through that will other people know who you are, what you are, and how to treat you. And you don't want to be treated as anything less than the fabulous woman that you are. And in that, I thank you for listening to me today, for tuning in to Quay Renee at this podcast thing. Thank you.